Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanamastu. For 1 hour, we have been doing his Nama Sankirtan by a great gift of grace. Each Nama we offered as a Nama Pushpa, a Nama flower at his feet, which is much more than offering a flower from a plant or a tree. A flower, a plant or a tree goes into great difficulty and preparation before it brings out a flower. What does a man do? He simply goes near, plucks the flower, offers it at his feet, and he thinks that he has done the puja. Every Nama that you chant with your breath, as a flower, as Nama Pushpa at his feet, what a great puja it would be. And if you could offer every action of yours as a flower at the lotus feet of Bhagwan, it would be the greatest puja. Now, like we saw yesterday, every breath is coming from the Divine. Every breath is sustained by the Divine. And one day, when the Divine chooses, the breath would be drawn back into the source. We have no choice in this matter, not only in this matter, for that matter, in any matter. The way the life is being run by the Divine, we do not have any choice, but there is the appearance of free will, appearance of choice. As long as the ego is there, there will be the appearance of free will. But in truth, it is the Divine that plays all our roles. It is the Divine that runs every detail of every being. But that we come to know only at a higher level of meditation. It takes a lot of preparation for the mind to purify itself, to learn the subtler truths of life, the lofty truths of life. One has to develop faith and devotion and surrender. But all this will come only in the last leg of progress. Faith is not what we think is faith. Bhakti is not what we think is bhakti. And surrender is definitely not what we think is surrender. Oftentimes, I recall what Bhagwan said when people wrote letters to him saying, Swami, I have surrendered my very life at your feet. He would, and then the very next paragraph, they would say, that they were building a house and they wanted Bhagwan's grace for that. They were arranging for a marriage for their daughter or son. They needed grace for that. They wanted Bhagwan's grace for every one of their problems to finish well. And then Bhagwan would say, you see Devaki, they say they have surrendered themselves to this beggar, but they do not understand what they have surrendered are only their problems. So there is a lot of difference between surrendering oneself and surrendering our problems to Bhagwan. So here, we have to pray for bhakti, true bhakti. We have to pray for a deeper faith, an unshakable faith. And we definitely have to pray for the true surrender. It's only by repeating the Nama and praying for faith and surrender, by His grace, we can attain it. We have been seeing some glimpses from Bhagwan's life and from the devotees' experiences with Bhagwan, from his Leela Samudram, from the ocean of Leelas. We have been seeing how Bhagwan's grace work for different people in different circumstances, with different mindsets. Now today, we shall see the grace as revealed in different circumstances. One Perumal from Madurai says that one day he was walking on the road chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama. And suddenly he found himself right in the middle between a speeding bike in the front and a rushing auto, a reckless drive by an auto. And just as he suspected, there was a dash. The two vehicles rushed towards each other uncontrollably, and he was caught right in the middle. There was no way he could escape without being hurt. But then he was chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama right from the time he started to walk. And now he was chanting desperately when he knew that any moment anything could happen to him. And surprisingly, he escaped unhurt. The two parties were hurt, and what was more, there was this resentment, anger running high between the two parties. Though, of course, they were severely hurt, and what was needed at the moment was treatment. They're rushing to the hospital. So Perumal goes on to say that because he was chanting Bhagwan's Nama, he escaped unhurt, and what was more, he could keep his peace and be a witness and think clearly what should be done. The resourcefulness. He became calm, and then he pacified both the groups and immediately set about doing what should be done. He rushed them to the hospital. He says all that happened because of Bhagwan's Nama, Bhagwan's grace. He could have been terribly hurt. He was right in the middle. On the one side, the reckless drive of an auto. In the front, the speeding bike. How did he escape? Oftentimes, in our life also, we come across such situations. We get caught between two problems, and there's no way we could move out in any other direction. If we keep chanting His name, we can be very sure, just as Perumal escaped, we could also escape unhurt from the problems. And what is more, we can keep our peace and act resourcefully. All that is given by the Nama. Bhagwan used to say, Nama chanting sharpens the brain. Not a single Nama goes waste. Every Nama does its work. And what is Nama after all? It is Nami himself. Now today is a very special day for two reasons. It is Hanuman Jayanthi day. Hanuman Jayanthi and Swami Vivekananda's birthday. Two great giants, spiritual giants. Swami Vivekananda is in one way Hanuman himself, is Hanuman to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Hanuman Jayanthi, we are all, mind is often compared to a monkey. Just as the monkey jumps from one branch to the other restlessly, ceaselessly, the mind keeps jumping from one thought to the other, sometimes totally disconnected. And the two great giants stand before us as examples, the models, the role models for us to follow. So this special day, even as we go through the Leelas, the experiences of the devotees, let us remember this. How the Nama not only helps, not only protects, it gives us our peace. It keeps our resourcefulness. Now there's another devotee who is serving here in the ashram itself, one Sri Ramu from Kumbakonam. He spoke two experiences of his. He said there was a friend of his from Kanchipuram who had 3 daughters. The eldest was married, well settled, but the next daughter to be married had a star, Ayilyam. Generally, the astrology says that if this particular star, any lady with this star comes into a family, the head of the family would die. Something would happen to either the father-in-law or the mother-in-law. So people would generally hesitate to take this girl of the star into their family. So it was getting very, very difficult for the father to get her married. though they tried. And it was that at that time Ramu ran into them. And then Ramu said to the girl, he gave her the picture of Yogi Ramsuratkumar and the Nama and said, you don't worry about this astrology business. He is above all this. You catch hold of his feet, chant his name, and keep chanting, 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 and see what happens. And true to his word, the girl started to chant Bhagwan's Nama. She started to worship Yogi Ramsuratkumar, praying all the time. And within months, a family came forward, unmindful of the astrological implications. They were happy to marry this girl into their family. There was father-in-law, mother-in-law. Nothing happened to them, as astrology predicted. There's a force, there's a power beyond that. All we have to do is cling to that power which could override these obstacles. Rama goes on to say that he had built a house in Kumbakonam. He was just settling down, and he had to go to one corner of Kumbakonam to register for his ration card. And then he found out he had to go to another corner, a long way off, to the LIC office for LIC registration. At that time, he was finding it very difficult to walk. So after his ration card registration, he was walking, chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar's Nama, all the time thinking, my God, I have to walk all the distance to that office. How am I going to do it? With this leg, I have to drag it along. What will I do? Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar was going on while thinking all these thoughts. Then he saw 3 or 4 people standing as a group and talking something on one side of the road. And suddenly one of them detached himself from the group, came straight to Ramu and said, Sir, where are you going? Ramu was surprised. Why should he know where he was going? He said, I am going to some office there. I have some work to do. Why are you asking? What does it matter to you where I am going? Then the man said very politely, I thought I could take you on my bike and drop you where you have to go. Now it was Ramu's turn to be surprised. He was taken aback. Just when he was thinking, chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama and thinking how to walk all this distance. Already there was pain in the leg, and he had to limp his way to the other corner of Kumbakonam. Just see how the grace inspires somebody to come forward and offer help to the needful, the needed devotee was attended to immediately. See how the grace works in this space. Now we shall shift our eyes to another scene. This is Raju Sulaiman this time. He's also from Madurai, working in the railways. At one time, he was building a house, And the contractor, he found out to his horror, the contractor had cheated him, took 3.5 lakhs money extra, and was not paying back. Several months passed, and the contractor refused to pay back. Raju Sulaiman was in great misery. He was terribly upset, and he said he was praying to every god, every possible god, for some relief, praying that the money should come back. Those people are cheating him. And he says none of them worked. He became very desperate. And it was at that time somebody showed him the Saranagatham, Ashram Magazine, and a picture of Bhagwan. And then he started to chant the name Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, desperately praying and praying. One day he had a dream, and in the dream Bhagwan appeared and said, "You think of me and I will help. You remember me, I will come to your help. You don't worry, don't fear. I'm here to help you." He felt very happy, and he knew that there was once again hope. And he started vigorously and rigorously Bhagwan's Nama, and it went on and on and on. Within months, those people one day surprisingly visited him with the agreement and this 3.5 lakhs money. Can you imagine? Can you believe it? People who were adamant, who refused to pay anything at all, who were threatening him to go to the court. How could they become so docile, submitted to the will of the power, and brought promptly the agreement and the money? Raju Sulaiman says, it can only be Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Only he could have put this idea into their mind, changed them completely, made them reverse their opinion, and bring forth whatever was required. Raju Sulaiman, doubtless to say that he became an ardent devotee of Bhagwan, and he goes on to say that every time somebody came struck by fever or some disease, all that he did was put this Vibhuti on them, chanting Bhagwan's name and praying to him. He says it worked. The miracle happened every time he did this. He smeared Vibhuti on their forehead, chanted Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama and prayed, and found to his own surprise and wonder and delight, their afflictions were gone. He says one man had come to him, nearly something like a tumor had developed on his neck. It would have weighed 1/4 kilo, was hanging. And the man was desperate. He had gone to many doctors. The doctors had given up and said, it must be cancer, biopsy must be done, and he had to go through the treatment for this cancerous growth. When he came to Raju Sulaiman, all that he did was apply some Vibhuti, both in the morning and in the evening. He chanted Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama and prayed. He says, after some time, what they called a tumor, it broke open, and all that pus and blood that was inside came out. And soon it became all right. There was no trace of this so-called tumor on his neck anymore. How did it happen? Bhagwan's Vibhuti, Bhagwan's Nama, and prayer to Bhagwan. The faith, unshakable faith that Bhagwan would do it for me. I'm chanting his name. I'm praying to him. I'm applying his Vibhuti. He will definitely do it. He is getting it done, not I. This faith, this unshakable faith, is what is required. And to his wonder and delight, every time he did this, it cured people. Many Muslim friends had come to him and benefited from this. So you see, there are ever so many such incidents, one after the other. We can go on describing. But what matters is the grace behind it and the invocation of His grace. How do we invoke it? Like I said in the beginning, offer the Nama Pushpa, the Nama flower. Offer all your actions at His feet, every little thing. You are eating, every work that you do when you go to the office or you do the work of the office at home, whatever action you do, the cooking, the drinking, eating, doing any work all through the day, keep offering your every action to Him. After the action is over, just remember, this is possible only because of Him. And immediately say, just saying it. You just have to say it to Him. You may not even mean it, but He will take it seriously. Please don't worry. We just have to pronounce it. Bhagwan, whatever I have done, however little it is, I'm offering it to you because I think that I am doing it. So I'm offering it to you. Just as I would offer a flower in puja, kindly accept it as my puja to you. Chant the name, and whenever you remember, immediately you say whatever I have chanted up till now, I'm offering to you. Because I think that I am doing the japa, so I'm offering it to you. Kindly accept it as my puja to you. This is all that we have to do, this awareness that it's because of His grace, it is by His grace that I am able to do anything at all. So I owe it to Him to offer it to Him. So offer all the namas, even as you would offer flowers at His feet, and offer all actions, including breathing. Breathing is an action. I'm able to breathe at all because of grace. The breath that goes out cannot come inside without grace. Everything, Bhagavan used to say, to close your eyes and open, you need grace. To take a step or two, you need His grace. For every movement, you need His grace. For every movement also, you need His grace. 2 or 3 days back, one Kavita, who is working in the local collector's office, she used to come here regularly. It's because of the COVID period. She's not so frequent, but she came, she has been coming off and on. And 2 or 3 days back, she came and cried her heart out. 3 or 4 days before, she came and cried. And I gave her a Nama notebook and I said, Nama is our only treatment. Nama is our only hope. You resort to this. And then she said she was chanting and writing and chanting and writing because her daughter, 14-year-old, was suffering from, just as he said, small tumor. And it was giving her a lot of pain. And she was crying helplessly. Though they took her for treatment, they gave her antibiotics. It was some infection. And the antibiotic did not agree with this girl, and she was vomiting all the time. To see her suffer like this became a misery to the mother. The mother could not bear it anymore. I believe at about 11 o'clock, one day in the night, in the middle of the night, the daughter suffered so much. She was screaming in pain and vomiting, so much vomiting. She just could not take anything anymore. And she had to be rushed to the hospital the way things were going, and it was middle of the night. And Kavita was chanting Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama desperately. And she was thinking, where would I go? How would I go to a doctor? And we need an auto at this hour. Where will I go for a vehicle? And she came out, there was an auto. An auto came offering to take them. And she took her daughter, all the time chanting. She took her daughter, and while going in the auto, suddenly this broke open. And there was a lot of pus and blood. The whole thing came out. And after that, the treatment became much easier and she was completely cured. Though, of course, at times it would look like testing. Things seemed to be delayed, causing more misery to us, despite our chanting the name. But let us keep our faith. Let us have unshakable faith. All the time I am chanting His name. Then it becomes His responsibility. It is His work. He will definitely do it for me. He will not let me down. This unshakable faith we will get only after praying hard. So let us keep chanting the name as I said before. And remember this day, Vivekananda said, muscles of iron and nerves of steel. He said, give me 100 youth with muscles of iron and nerves of steel. I will change the whole world. And today, a tiny, unseen virus has changed the whole world. So what does it show? When the power that runs the whole cosmos, when the Supreme Divine chooses a tiny, tweeny virus, can change the whole world. All the countries with the army strength, and money strength are unable to do anything about it. So, let us keep up the spirit of Vivekananda, the faith he had in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. There's a little story, very impressive story. When Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was suffering from cancer of the throat, so sometimes he would vomit and there would be a lot of pus and blood. And one day, there was a bowl of his vomit with a lot of pus and blood. And the other disciples were hesitant because the doctor had said this disease, they did not know much about cancer in those days. So the doctor had warned them saying that it was contagious. So the disciples were hesitant, afraid to handle it. Just at the time Vivekananda entered and he saw the condition there, they said, look, Thakur has vomited, it's got this pus and blood. The doctor has warned that it's contagious. Then Vivekananda said, oh, is it? And then he went straight to the bowl, took it in his hand and drank up the whole thing. He drank it up. And then he said, when Gurudev in Thakur speaks, gives his teachings to us, when the Thakur blesses us, we take it. The teachings, Thakur is still talking to us. The words are coming out of his mouth. Are they not contagious? We take that. We listen to his every word. So why should we think that this little pus and blood will harm us? Words of wisdom are pouring out of his mouth and we drink it up happily. Why should we think that this is harmful? What a lesson. This is Swami Vivekananda. This is the spirit of Swami Vivekananda, the faith, unshakable faith and surrender to the Guru. To see everything in the light of wisdom, the highest wisdom. So we should learn this spirit of Swami Vivekananda. We may not have muscles of iron and nerves of steel, but we can try for this faith in our Bhagwan. And every one of us with a wandering mind as a monkey, we have to become a Hanuman. Just as Hanuman, he was born a monkey, but it's Rama that took him to the heights. They say that even Rama had to build the bridge with the help of the monkeys, the Vanaras. But Hanumanji, with the name Jai Shri Ram, he jumped across the ocean. So the name is greater than the named, it would seem. So we shall pray to Bhagwan to make each one of us a Hanuman to him. That we chant his name the way Sri Hanumanji chanted Ramna. We shall develop faith, even as Vivekananda had, and submit our today's prayers at the feet of Bhagwan, whose very name, the utterance of his name, comes to our rescue unconditionally. in our every difficult situation. Bhagwan, we seek soulfully, intensely your immediate divine intervention in order to free the entire humanity from this dreadful grip of this virulent virus and bring back normalcy, a dharmic normalcy, a new life and strength, a new life of faith and strength and onto this earth. And Bhagwan, the panic, people are panicking, especially in the Western countries, the way things are happening now. They're announcing emergencies. The countries are being closed to other countries. The panic is reigning everywhere. We beg you to remove this panic from the hearts of people and stop the spread of these diseases. Enter the vaccine so that the vaccine will work. It would kill the virus instantly and once for all. Not only this virus, its variants also. And all those brave soldiers who are fighting the disease against all odds, please give them protection. And we seek a huge gift of grace to lift up our economy. And above all, please give us that faith, that unshakable faith in your words, and constant remembrance of your name, and to go about our life as a fine instrument in your hands. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.